see all the ways their kid can be challenged. I think this is an opportunity for the caregivers or family members to get well educated as well, because we know, that if the parents are engaged and everybody's on the same page, the treatment outcomes are better. The sooner the family members learn what to do, the better.
Welcome to OCD Whisperer podcast. Today with me, I have Kim Vincenty, who is a mother, a wife, an OCD advocate, a speaker, and support group facilitator who has spent the past 12 years fostering community and helping families find the best resources for mental health, education, intervention, and recovery. She served as the president of OCD Jacksonville, an affiliate of the International OCD Foundation, and Kim is currently an IOCDF advocate and recent recipient of the IOCDF Hero Award. She's the founder and president of the Jack Mental Health. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Thanks for having me. It was so lovely to meet you at the conference.
Yes, that's how this whole thing got started. And so thank you for being willing to come on and kind of talk to us a little bit. And I'd love to initially, just for anybody tuning in and listening, first kind of get to know you a little bit. So tell us a little bit about how did you get into all of this work?
OCD work, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the mother of someone that lives with OCD. He was diagnosed when he was 10 years old, and it quickly spiraled out of control and took a lot of intervention and a lot of care, but I saw that the treatment works. And he's now 30-year-old clinician himself and living a big life. And OCD is something that touched me so intensely that once we were good, I still was meeting people over and over and over again that either just were lost, didn't know how to find resources, couldn't access care, and I couldn't look away. And so I started working with OCD Jacksonville and I became president there. I think we did some really great initiatives with them. But I wanted to expand my reach and also be able to do advocacy from wherever I'm at. I have children and grandchildren in California. I live on the East Coast. My husband's going to retire soon and wants to spend a significant amount of time in Puerto Rico. So I just decided I wanted to do something where I could do what I do from wherever I am.
I love it. Yeah. Well, anybody listening, I certainly know that in the OCD world, other than, folks who have OCD themselves, there's, of course, such a need to talk about the support systems, the folks that are supporting somebody who has OCD. That's a whole other kind of world over there. And if you don't mind, I'd love to hear, because I'm pretty sure anybody listening would want to know, my gosh, like how did you help your son? Like, what was that journey like, right? Because
stayed up all night obsessing about it. I mean, this was, 21 years ago. It was literally the horse and buggy era. It was hard to find resources and support. There just wasn't anything. But we were fortunate in that we did get in almost right away with a therapist that was well-versed in ERP. And so I didn't have the experience that many people have where the clinician doesn't know what they don't know. And she was helpful and remarkable, but OCD was just very entrenched. So she kind of guided us toward other resources. And then I just kind of dug in my heels and decided I was going to learn everything I could learn because my kid was not going down under my watch. He was going to be okay. And that was my goal. And like I said, the more I learned about it, the more passionate about it I became. I thought, oh my gosh, this is a way that therapy can be hideously creative. And I love all the creative stuff. And I just watched some of these remarkable therapists come up with the most skilled and remarkable ways to do ERP. And I just became fascinated, even when as my son was recovering and everything else, I still read everything I could about it because I had become so interested in what OCD does to people and how it's treated and how people can indeed get better, even though it looks like very dark days. And I also, saw how much the families were suffering, the parents, they just feel so lost and isolated when you live in an area where there's no resources or there's no clinicians, and they're just grappling for, what do I do now? So one of the first things I did was have a family support group. And one of the proudest things that we've done so far is we are sponsoring a monthly live stream for families and caregivers of people living with OCD on the IOCDF social media pages. So it started monthly, and we're on our third episode now, and hopefully it'll go on forever, but it's been well attended and we're so delighted.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So I guess let's jump into talking about, Jack Mental Health Advocacy. You founded this. So tell me a little bit about what it's all about. What are some of the different programs? What are the things you guys are currently doing?
Oh, thank you. Well, when we launched, one of my bucket list things was, since we spent a fair amount of time in Puerto Rico, I saw that there was zero resources there. So I went to the IOCDF when we launched Jack, and I said, we need to have a BTTI in Puerto Rico. And then it quickly escalated to we sponsored the first Spanish language BTTI. So we're teaching clinicians to offer care in their first language. And, we were really delighted. Over 30 clinicians, I think it ended up being 11 in Puerto Rico, were trained. So that was our first big initiative. But we contribute to the BTTI Scholarship Fund, because I definitely know that, that's when the clinicians are struggling in rural areas. I mean, they often don't even have the money to take these expensive courses. So we did that. But one of the things that we decided right away was offering at least somebody information. Information is power with this. And so we started scholarshiping people, either family members, clinicians, or sufferers, to do Kimberly Quinlan's ERP school. And we gave about 28 scholarships to that the first year. So we were providing access to really good information. And then we decided to strike out and start an access to care program, which everybody tells me you can't do it. It's too hard. It's too problematic. But last year, we were able to give 28 individuals 16 sessions of evidence-based care through our Access to Care program. So we're starting a network of clinicians that are willing to work with us to provide care for people that would otherwise receive no treatment at all.
I love that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. We were so delighted with that. And of course, we believe in the conference so much. And so, that's always a thing that, we meet people, or people reach out to us and maybe need a scholarship to the conference. So we've done quite a bit of that. But one of the things that we are most excited about and launched at the conference in San Francisco this past year is our Plant a Camp program. And what we did was we challenged the IOCDF affiliates nationally to submit proposals to plant a pediatric OCD camp in their region, and that we would sponsor $15,000 for any affiliate willing to do the work to put in a good proposal. We had a manual created by just a gifted clinician, Ashley Ordway. And we sent it out to all the affiliates. And I'm excited to say that OCD Wisconsin, OCD Louisiana, and OCD Georgia are all planting a pediatric camp this coming summer.
That sounds really cool. I would love to hear a little more. Like, what does the camp entail? And pediatric, I mean, of course, so needed, right? I mean, everybody needs help with OCD, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about that program. Like, what is that camp?
Well, everybody's different. They're leaning into their own strengths and their resources in their region. Wisconsin is doing literally at a campsite. They're staying overnight with campfires and everything else. And a parent can come and get the psychoeducation they need. But basically, it's structured so that, obviously there has to be a medical director. There has to be clinicians that are vetted and well-trained in ERP, and proper ratios with campers to clinicians. But they basically set up activities, games, challenges throughout the day that are ERP. It's evidence-based treatment, basically, under the guise of camp. And I remember when my son was young, or millions of other kids that I've seen, if you're struggling with OCD, you're not going to integrate very well in a normal camp. And a camp should be a given for anybody that wants to do it. And most kids, when they're diagnosed, they get to go to a clinician, but they don't get to meet other kids with the same struggles unless they are in an intensive programs. But we know, intensive programs are very expensive for families. And also, parents are fairly reluctant in the early days to send their kids to an intensive program. It seems overwhelming, the pulling out of school and, what does this mean for my kid? And there's all this anxiousness about it. So if you put evidence-based treatment, that's pretty intensive if you're going to camp and you're going to be there every single day. But under the guise of camp, it makes it a lot more user-friendly. And I think for both the parents, the kids, and the clinicians treating them, it gives them yet another way to be creative in how they're doing their ERP.
Yeah, I mean, I love that idea. Honestly, as you said, that great. John Grayson comes to mind for a moment, right? Because he at these conferences will get whoever wants to come. And then like a massive group, right? Everybody's going and we're all as a group going to do an exposure. And, as you mentioned, when you think about, an intensive program, or, if you're in a hospital or if you're in a setting with a therapist, but to your point, right? Changing the environment also and creating some fun and just other ways, I think is a wonderful idea, right? Just to kind of get the brain going and learn something new, but in just a different, fun way.
And if early intervention is important, let's start now with these kids, get them into camp. I mean, look at Survivor. It's a bonding experience. You've got to connect with everybody else and build that circle of trust. And, basically everybody at camp, no matter where you go or if you have OCD or not, you have to have opportunities to get comfortable with uncertainty and discomfort and things like that. So what a perfect environment to start testing those waters in what I think is a very non-threatening way. The proposals from these three affiliates were just remarkable. All of them were just so well thought out and comprehensive in every way. And I look forward to meeting everybody this summer again, and either if they've had their camp already or they're about to do it, just to see where they're at with it. And hopefully in the following year, launch 3 more camps is our goal.
I love it. I mean, that's, I think, such a wonderful thing that you're doing. And like you said, to your point, if kids earlier on already know that's what they're dealing with, then yeah, why not set up things to be as successful as possible? And like you said, right, where you can actually more easily move between things in more natural like environments. Because intensives, there's some intensives where it's usually one-on-one. And for some people that's better. For some people there's some group, but like you were saying, with kids and younger population, having some element where it can be a shared experience can be really helpful. So you're not feeling so alone, like, oh, it's just me and I'm out here in my own little world, and seeing there's a bunch of other people and we can all bond, get along. And also what I'm really hearing that sounds really cool is that you're getting to have an experience and skills that are not just ERP OCD, but these are just skills, period, that you get to take with you in life. I mean, I've talked just recently actually on my own social stuff about generalizing skills out. Like, it's not just like you're learning ERP only to use for this one OCD theme. It's like, this is a general concept and principles that are so helpful across the board when you're facing things that are nerve-wracking or scary or anxiety producing or whatever it is, right? And how you can carry those things with you.
Absolutely. And I think that it's important for the parents to really kind of see all the ways their kid can be challenged. I think this is an opportunity for the caregivers or family members to get well educated as well, because we know, that if the parents are engaged and everybody's on the same page, the treatment outcomes are better. The sooner the family members learn what to do, the better. So I love everything about the pediatric profile, getting kids the help they need as soon as possible.
And can I ask, because I understand you said that, there's proposals. So of course, we can't get into exact details because it's their own programming that they're putting together, which is awesome. But can you speak a little bit to, in terms of the parent support aspect of it? Is the idea basically that, I know you mentioned that they would get education, is the idea that they would participate in some things and kind of co-learn some aspects?
It won't be necessarily that way at all of them. But, I think about when my grandchild goes to preschool and he came home and he said he learned an exercise to calm down when he gets mad. And he's like, 1, 2, 3. But he came home and told us that. These kids going to camp, you tell about your experience. So whether the parents are there or not, they're learning what their kids are experiencing. But in the case of Wisconsin, they're allowed to have a parent go to camp with them and stay the whole time so that they can be getting the same psychoeducation and observe what the clinicians are doing with the child so that they learn to be good, effective support at home. And I'm all about that. I think that my experience watching the clinicians with my son helped us enormously because I learned all the tools I needed to learn, about reassurance and accommodation and all the things that I did that were ineffective in the early days. You learn over time.
Yeah, absolutely. For any parents that are listening, I know a common question that I get is, how do you, as a parent, if you can share, do you have any tool or strategy for example, when a kiddo is either like not motivated or perhaps, more angry, kind of arguing or fighting back? I often get questions like, what do I do? How can I get them into treatment, right? How can I motivate them? How can I move them? Just curious, what are your thoughts?
Well, I would say watch the last episode of the live stream because it was about Natasha Daniels and Irene Pinto Wagner talked about, what you do when those kids are, defiant or angry about getting treatment. And it was excellent. But for us, OCD takes away your life. I mean, it starts, trapping you. And that's why we use the metaphor of the Jack in the Box for our logo, because OCD confines you, it traps you in, it makes life smaller. And we want to give people the tools to scale the walls of the box. So for us, it was finding those things that would make life worth doing the work. So tapping into what your kid is passionate about. What do they really love? And what carrot can you dangle to get them to do the work that they need to recover or to get better? And for us, it was definitely finding those things and leading family support groups. I mean, we saw it all the time. I mean, one girl had pretty much gotten to the point where she was staying home, but she was passionate about horses and she always wanted to learn to ride. And that was a very expensive proposition for their family. And they were like, if you do this work for every week you stay in intensive and you're cooperative and you do your best, we'll trade you for 1 week of horseback lessons, that kind of thing. And most of the clinicians, and if you go to the conference, you will see that rewards are effective. They're helpful. Now, if your kid demands, a new car and a flat screen TV, that's inappropriate and you don't do it. But those things about life, that things that they love are usually the best carrot to dangle. For us, our son wanted to go on a study abroad trip and, OCD was creeping in and we were like, we'd be glad to pay for that trip. as long as, we're feeling like you're on solid ground before you go on that trip, and it was always feeding into those things that he was good at or passionate about that really helped him fight his OCD.
I love it. You're doing so many amazing things. And it sounds like, quite frankly, I know you got the IOCD of Hero Award. It sounds like well deserved.
Oh gosh, that was amazing and such a blessing. And I sweat profusely when I was saying thank you, because it was, I'm passionate about it and I love this community. And I just, like I said, I could walk away and just sail off into the sunset, but it's challenged me in this season of my life to work hard for all those people that touched my heart. I mean, I still think about different mothers' faces in support groups and the tears that running down their face, or the fear and the anxiety that their kid is never going to get better. And it's really, that's what motivates me, is those people that I met, and to give them hope that things can get better.
I love it. I mean, I can certainly hear it in your voice. I'm sure anybody listening, they can pick up on that. Kim, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us today. And as always, if people want to find you, where can they go?
We're OWc&x.org is our website, and OWc&x on Facebook and Instagram.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.